Well, because I have some news of a serious victory for the Mark Steyn Show, a serious victory for GBNews as a channel. Grooming gangs are in every single major city in the UK. Tens of thousands of vulnerable, mostly working-class white girls have been raped and abused on an industrial scale by mostly British Pakistani men. Police forces, they don't do much about this. They don't want to stoke racial tensions now, do they? Entire political parties, they've ignored the issue. They tried to bury the issue. They wanted the demographic vote, didn't they? The mainstream media, they've largely ignored it. They didn't want the backlash. But GBNews' Charlie Peters, he wasn't cowed by any of that guff. No, he's been investigating the grooming gang scandal relentlessly and shining a light into the darkest corners of society. Specifically, in Rotherham, more than 1,000 children were abused. That abuse included, and I'm warning you now, this is sensitive content, OK? That abuse included gang rape, forcing children to watch rape, dousing them with petrol and threatening to set them on fire, threatening to rape their mothers and younger sisters, as well as trafficking them to other towns. Despite this, though, the Labour Party council played down the scale of the abuse. And in fact, one of the cabinet members at the time was about to run as a Labour MP. But due to Charlie Peters' pressure, things have changed. And Charlie joins me now. Charlie, you've got a scalp.
Finally, it's extraordinary news. It's extraordinary news. Firstly, that Dominic Beck, this Labour councillor, was allowed to stand in the first place. I think it shames Rotherham Metropolitan Borough Council that they ever had him as a candidate. But also it shames Britain more generally. I mean, this is the most shocking story of the Elizabethan era in our country, I think. And it's scandalous that men like Beck, who had to resign after the council was in denial over refusing to admit the scale of the crisis, were ever allowed to approach public office. Now, Beck is the first man to fall in Rotherham from the GBNews investigation, but I warned on your show, Patrick, 2 weeks ago that there are many more to come, and they will come. I'm going to take a break for Christmas now, but there are many more people in public office in Rotherham who will be having very nervous Christmases, knowing that GBNews is coming knocking.
Yeah, indeed. And Charlie, there will be more heads to roll. I just want to say thank you. I know it's a bit short and sweet. I just want to say thank you, really, for that and to break that news here on this show. Mark Steyn is very passionate about this issue. I'm very passionate about this issue. And you have been banging the drum for this relentlessly. And as you've said, Charlie, there is more to come, is there not? What can we expect here on this channel?
Well, I'm not going to break my next scoop because I don't want to let those who are in the firing line get ahead of it. But I can reassure our viewers and those who've been supporting the channel and indeed this investigation that more councillors are in the firing line, more members not only in Rotherham but also in Telford, in Rochdale and further ahead. Much of the mainstream media, as you said, has looked away from this story, but we haven't. The things we've discovered.
And Charlie, I think a lot of people find it absolutely, utterly remarkable that this guy was even anywhere near a candidates list to be a Labour MP. The Labour Party, it would appear, yet again, just not getting it at all when it comes to grooming gangs in this country.
Yes, I mean, completely blind. And many people, when we broke the story 2 weeks ago, they were asking how on earth did Dominic Beck become a candidate in the first place?
Do you think it's because they don't care, Charlie, or not? Sorry, do you think it's just because they don't get it, or they don't care, they don't see it as a problem, they don't want the harassment?
Well, the strategy for Labour has always been stay silent and hope the world moves on. But lots of people have refused to stay silent. Lots of survivors in the town, in Rotherham in particular, have been speaking to me day in, day out for the last year, giving me the inside scoop on what's going on there. And we learnt this week, of course, that Councillor Emma Hoddinott, who was the deputy leader of the council's cabinet when Beck had to resign in 2015, when the council was found to be in denial and wholly unacceptable, she was on the selection committee that picked him. Yeah, so it's people who are all caught up in the scandal, working together, colluding to bring themselves back into power. It's scandalous.